we're not supposed to like our trees because they break wind? I thought they broke wind another way, trees. I thought they held the wind up. Right? Well, wait a little bit. I'd rather smell one than the other.
Well, it seems to me the waves of the ocean have been coming up on the shore for a long, long time before smart, intelligent, educated humans came along. Thank you for doing that. Bye.
I love the caller's point. Only human beings can look at the beauty which is nature, the beauty which God created, and go, you know what?
And the natural process of nature.
Right. And then go, you know what? I think we can do better. Only human beings can do that.
Oh, yeah. We educate ourselves out of intelligence.
So, Roger, as the caller's point, the old saying used to be, if a tree fell in the woods and nobody was there, would you hear it? Is it supposed to be now if a tree breaks wind and nobody's there, will you hear it?
Would you still smell it?
Would you still smell it? That's right.
I
don't know what it's called, a weeping willow.
This might be a good time. Weeping willow. Oh, man. This might be a good time to talk about College Park Auto and Quick Lube, because I tell you right now, Bobby Fairber, he's got a good team down there, but he's got room for more. If you need a job and like to work on vehicles and are qualified to do so, go by and talk to College Park Auto. They've been there 40 years, so they must be a pretty good place to work.
Absolutely. Then they're right across the street from Meridian, Community College.
There you go.
So you're right there on 19. They're full service auto repair. You can learn a lot from working there. Learn a lot by taking your vehicle there. Extend the life of your vehicle. They'll check out not only your oil system, your gas system, speaking of gas, but alignment, brakes, and tires as well. And also air conditioning. The good Lord has reminded us in the last couple of days, and will again today, remind us, it gets hot down here in the South. You want that AC working. So go by and see Bobby and the gang at College Park Auto and Quick Lube. They love it when you call and say, I want to drop my vehicle off. You go do a little local shopping, whatever, and come back. 483-1652. 483-1652. Right across the street from Meridian Community College. That's College Park Auto and Quick Lube.
All right, just a reminder that coming up shortly, we're going to be visiting with mayoral candidate for the city of Meridian, Mr. Robert Ray. So we're looking forward to that. Also, we have time for another phone call before our break. Good morning, caller. How are you? Well, oh, let me tell you what. We're just gearing up for the politicians. And here we have the mayor of Succolina on the line here.
And I'm so glad you called, Benny, because we'll talk more about it tomorrow. But I'm taking a quick little break from radio, do some research trips. And I'm so glad you called before I left.
He only thinks he's leaving. I've got the door barred. We've got the...
Oh, Lordy, I'll try.
Yeah. I'm sitting here thinking out loud. I'm thinking, okay, this is really what in order for this thing to be feasible, this is really kind of what it needs to be like. That old DeWalt drill driver. You just pop off one battery and put another one on. Back of the vehicles look like they just have a little pop-on battery on the back. Just boom, boom. Oh, Benny, we're up against a break. I'm so glad you called, though, my friend. All right, call back some other time. We appreciate it. We'll be right back, and we'll be with Robert Ray.
Today, 1 year since his death.
All right. What's your name?
Toby Bates.
Toby Bates, what you do?
I work at Mississippi State, and I work here a little bit.
Some of his friends and family members.
I teach history at
Ray,
Mississippi
thank
State.
you for
Oh, you do?
Celebration.
Get out
Thank
of
you
here.
for taking time to come
Hey,
by
man,
here.
I appreciate it,
I
man.
think
You
you've been in
have.
our studio before. If I'm
Yeah,
not
I have.
mistaken.
Yeah, I have. I was back running for governor.
Running for governor.
You remember that?
I
President
do,
Biden
yeah.
We were talking about that,
forcing
you know,
the passenger
and
plane to
yes.
arrest
out of like 8 or 9
journalists.
candidates who came in the field, you got over 5,000 votes.
Got 7,000.
No, they
But I just kind of destroyed our hoods chance, though. That's what that. That's what
You
it was.
took a few away from them.
Yeah, I took that away from him. Plus, I put the genuine truth on it. You know, all his folks was Klan members. You know, back then. Yeah, but down there where he lived at, and somebody sent me that from down there.
They were the hoods with hoods.
Yeah, hoods with hoods.
Well, the last name should have been a giveaway.
All right, we'll be live here in about 2 minutes or so. We'll come back in. We'll probably do a commercial, then we'll introduce you, and then we'll just sit there and chat.
Okay, very good.
Can I get you any coffee or anything?
No, I'm comfortable right now.
Okay, very good.
Can you hear out both ears or one ear on that thing?
I think it's 1 ear.
One ear. Is it the connector? Or is it the ear things here, Roger?
See if he's got 2 of them on that one.
This is Nancy Chisholm.
Oh, Lord, that's good.
Now we got 2.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Southeast Lauderdale.
Make sure it's not too spiky. Like too hard.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Here it comes.
PickfordandCorey.com. Our website has all the properties listed by East
Oh, yeah.
Mississippi area
Better?
realtors. When you're ready to view some homes,
Just keep those
call
off
me,
the side,
Nancy
keep them out of
Chisholm,
the
or
way.
any of our agents at Pickford and Corey. Pickford and Corey Realtors, quality real estate service since 1975.
You know what you're searching for in an apartment. Large rooms, walk-in closets, extra storage
how messy
space,
this
and a
is, huh?
fireplace. You want a refreshing swimming pool, tennis court, a playground.
I was just going to do this real quick and be
Yeah,
out of your way.
see.
You want to be close to major dining, shopping,
All right.
and entertainment.
There you go.
options. Search for the perfect
I can't wait till Joey what you said about, you know, I agree with him because you go in their house and they have that crap laid out. You're exactly right. It's this big crystal bowl and they have the orange slices in
Oh,
there.
yeah, it's like catching air and flies and gnats.
with the perfect place to call home.
Absolutely.
I do remember the neighbors though that would give you candy, just drop it in the bag, trick or treat. And he's right. You get home to be unwrapped candy, and
Yeah.
of course we try to eat that before mom and dad saw it. You know?
You ain't gonna tell them what all you were getting back those days.
Now I was doing some reading up on you, like everybody else has been doing, and reading on a site called Ballotpedia that you filled some stuff out for when you run for governor. They said, and you worked in prison for a while.
Oh yeah, I fixed this prison system single-handedly by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got 100 guys out of there with my process, and they didn't go back to prison after 3, 4, 5 years. See, that right there is so phenomenal. People that can't even wrap it around their heads. But to me, it was a piece of cake because I had been doing that, fixing people's lives for.
All right, little Toby Keith, who's your daddy? Or what Toby says when he comes to the door every time he gets home.
Mm-hmm.
Mornings in Meridian, Roger, along with Dr. Toby Bates on this Tuesday morning, 25th day of May. So glad you're out there, tuned in. And of course, this part of our program, this here part of our program, it's like I'm chewing on one of those orange slices,
Yeah.
things, you know. Yeah. Oh, that mess. A&A glass, by the way. My son just recently bought a vehicle. Of course, what did it have? It did have a cracked windshield.
Mm-hmm.
So his stop one of his first stops with the new vehicle is A&A Glass.
Right across the street from Total Pain Care, right here in Meridian. And Roger, the thing is, we can talk about electric cars and battery cars. We can talk about motorized cars. You're all going to need a windshield. You got to see where you're going. And A&A Glass are the best folks. We're talking about Adam Carmichael and Adam McCree. And you forget sometimes how important that windshield is to your vehicle. If you have a little starburst there or a little nick in there, they can use that mobile service repair and swing out there and fix it. But if you've got a crack that runs all the way across and it's impeding maybe your line of sight, or that sunbeam catches it just at a particular time of day, it can blind you or another driver, and that is dangerous. Let them take care of it. 693-4527, 693-4527. They will work with your insurance. They will give you a free estimate. Any make, any model, they'll do it. They are the best. And talk to them about their tinting, okay? Their glass tinting.
The tinting.
That can keep the temperature down on the car and also, save the dashboard from any kind of sun damage or anything. They're the best, folks. A&A Glass, 693-4527, A&A Glass.
Remember, tinting is not a lab in China.
No, it's not. Somebody will. Somebody will come up and hate the word tinting, just like we were talking about. Yeah, tinting.
Anyway, so glad you're out there, and now it's time to shift our attention to something very important, and that is, of course, the mayoral election here in Meridian. This is the year Mississippi voters go to the ballot box and they either reaffirm or they elect new leaders in their cities. And so here in Meridian, we have the same situation. Of course, we have been paying attention throughout the Democrat primary process, but now we're down to the general election, which is just a couple of weeks away, June 8th to be exact. Hope you folks will put it on your schedule to get out and vote. And we're inviting the candidates to come through this week because we want to ask them. They've said some things out there on the campaign trail, and we're going to reaffirm what they've said and also see what else we can pry out of them. You can't really pry things out of politicians. They just let it come on out.
Well, but do we have politicians? They're all saying they're not politicians. They're saying they're going to do it differently this time. So they wouldn't pry it out.
Will let us, Peter. All right, and with that, we're going to introduce, he has worked in politics before because he has run for governor. We have a former gubernatorial candidate, Mr. Robert Ray, who I think at that time ran as a Democrat, but is running as a Republican in the mayoral race. Mr. Ray, welcome to our radio show.
Hey, I'm happy to be here, Roger.
I tell you what, thank you for answering our invitation and being here, because we also want to say thank you for putting your hat in the ring, and literally a hat because he wears one.
He does. I like a man that wears a hat.
He's like me. He has a challenge scalp that won't hold hair on it.
You got that right.
But welcome, sir, and of course, tell us a little bit about your background. You've certainly done a lot more than just run for office. So,
my profession is counseling and therapy and substance abuse counseling and professional development counseling. That's what I've been doing for 40 years, and I worked out at the prison out there. I was one of the first alcohol and drug substance abuse counselors they hired out there when they opened in '99.
This is the prison at Lost Gap?
Yeah, at Lost Gap out there.
So it started out as
Whacking Hut.
That's it, Whacking Hut.
Okay. And so I put my process in playing out there, and I fixed 100 broken men out there. And those men out there, they really had the problem. They were schizophrenic, bipolar, and all of these other mental diseases. But you found out that a lot of these guys, I asked them, did they have any family members who were schizophrenic and bipolar, and they didn't have any people. That's a hereditary disease, really. But what had happened, they got on the drug thing. See, you get on crystal meth and crack and all of that, you'll hear voices. Yeah. And if you tell a psychiatrist you hear voices, he jumped right on that, see. Yeah. And then he say, oh, you're schizophrenic, you bipolar. So, but I fixed them. But that wasn't what the Whacking Hut people wanted. They didn't want them fixed,
Oh, really?
No, they wanted them. They come up there and told me when these guys, this black executive, the only one black executive they had at Whacking Hut. Okay. When they came up there to see me about that, about how getting those guys out of there, he pulled me to the side and he say, look, he say, we was in the meeting and one of the white executives asked the question, why is all these niggas not coming back to prison? Oh, yeah, wow. With him sitting up in there. So he came and told me that, and so they came up and they wanted me to do a survey about where these people are. So we did the survey, but you ain't supposed to to go out and find prisoners after they get out of prison. That's against the rules. That's
It's kind
against.
of like they serve their time and then
Yeah, they serve the time, they move on, but they wanted me to find out. So I did, and I found out 100 of them had got out of there and was doing fine, and I had been through my process of doing fine and taking care of their families and stuff like this. so the Wacket Hut guys come up and they say, well, we're going to kick your process out. Yeah, although it's doing what it's designed to do, it's getting
So you're literally rehabilitating these guys.
yeah, rehabilitated them, really
they're saying
rehabilitated them, because the rehabilitation is just a fantasy in the world, but you rehabilitate them. They hadn't even been rehabilitated.
I see.
So we got in there, and they came into the, and they said, well, Mr. Ray, we're gonna go another way. We're gonna get Hazelton's process. Now that's 6 manuals that's that these guys gonna have to try to comprehend reading on a 3rd grade level. See, but my process, even if they're reading on a 3rd grade level, it still gets the job done. See?
Was your method or theory something you had developed, or something?
No, my mentor in Linden, Michigan,
okay.
Ron Cornwell had developed it, and it was big in Michigan. It was, matter of fact, they said it was 20 years ahead of its time back then in '75.
Okay.
So I said, okay, well, yeah, I knew what they was doing. See, they were trying to get my process out of there. See? So they came up there and they got my process out, and they bought Hazelton, and somebody told them that I was still doing my process in there. See?
Yeah.
So here they come running back up there. You know, then we go in their room, and they say, oh, Mr. Ray, we hear you still doing your process in their therapy room, in the counseling room. I said, well, I can't discuss that. I said, that's against confidentiality. I say, the federal rules won't let me say anything about that. They didn't even know that. So I say, if you want to know, I say, here's the federal guidelines right there for substance abuse counseling. I say, I can't say anything else about that. They just looked dumbfounded.
Yeah.
And so after I left out, because I had my supervisor in there, and the psychiatrist, so-called psychiatrist, sitting in there with them. They were getting ready to bombard me. But after I hit them with that, they didn't know what to do. They say they went in there and they got the, now if you're over substance abuse, you should know at least the confidentiality law. But he didn't know, so what they had done, they get people in positions out there that are not qualified. Yeah. And that's what they had done with this. Well, they raked them over the coals and stuff.
So did you have to leave that job that they asked you to leave, or did you just leave when
no,
it got sold out? Or
no, what they did after that, then they came and tried to buy me out. See, they said, look, we've been looking at that process, and we think we'd like to buy it. So they offered me $10,000 for it. So I said, nah. So then they went up to $20,000. Okay, and then they said, well, wait a minute, we're gonna go make a call. So they went out and hauled, like they calling down at the corporate. They come back in there. They offered me $50,000 for that process. So I said, no, I'm not going to sell. I say, I wouldn't sell it for $1 million. I say, I helped my mentor's wife make $750,000 out of her basement with this process. You know, helping people doing cigarette counseling, alcohol and drug counseling, training. And she made $750,000 that year. When we did that 2 or 3 years, but while I was getting trained to get my own franchise, and that's what I did. And they couldn't buy me out, so they tried to fire me. It took them 5 years to fire me.
That's interesting. 5 years. Well, that's a little not quite as good as having tenure.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Anyway,
well, how did they notice? If I can jump in real quick, how did they notice if they later wanted you to try to track some of these fellows down? How did they notice that your procedure, your process was working? Was the bottom line? Was the money being affected? Yeah.
$50 million they lost.
Okay.
Because those 100 guys had left prison, didn't come back within 3 and 5 years. So it was messing with their bottom line. Say $50 million. So they could see that if I kept using my process, after a while, their money was going to be way down. Matter of fact, it was going to put them out of business.
So it wasn't a case of where your process, these folks were getting out and then crime again. And that caught their attention. It was that their bottom line was being affected. That wallet was getting light.
Exactly.
Okay.
See, they didn't want to.
Does this counseling process have a name? Is it
Yeah,
have a title to it?
It's the organism chapter 4. Mine is chapter 4.
Chapter 4.
But the
Organism.
original was the organism. But,
Okay.
but I was at chapter 4. I got the 4 franchise
Okay.
out of that.
I see. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Very good. Well, of course. Oops. Sorry about that.
My hearing aid, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, I know. I told you not to wear those.
Sorry.
We got earphones. But if you just joined us, Robert Ray, candidate for mayor, give us a little bit about his background. Counselor, and you made a decision a couple of years ago to run as governor. What led you to that decision?
I got into that just to see how the process goes.
Yeah.
And I got in it because it was about 10, 11 black people in there, in the Democrat running for the governor. So I got in there. So that gave me an opportunity to go around all over Mississippi state to check people out, to see what was going on and see how people moved and see what they thought, stuff like this. It was a good experience for me. I knew I wasn't going to win.
But how many votes did you get?
I got 7,000 votes.
Okay.
I got 7,000 votes.
Right,
And plus, I really kind of sabotaged Jim Hood's chance because somebody sent me that thing about him and his dad and his granddaddy being in the Ku Klux Klan, see, and that fly, and I passed that all out.
He was
see.
really glad to see you come.
Yeah, I bet he was. so that kind of sabotaged his thing, see, with it. But I got a lot of experience going around and meeting people and seeing what the issues was and seeing what their problems was. And I knew that I could fix it. If I would have got the governor, I could have fixed the whole state of Mississippi too, because it's just about knowing how to fix it and what needs to be fixed at the time. You got to know what the problem is. You got to know how to fix that particular problem on that. So that's
Well, speaking of particular problems, and our listeners are definitely wanting to hear this question, and that is, of course, we talked about you on the air after your first forum there that was aired on WTOK. And of course, you're quoted as saying that the students, the children in Meridian are, let's see,
dumbest on the planet.
dumbest on the planet. That's exactly right. I'm
that's
glad
what I
you were
said.
here. That way I couldn't misquote you.
Uh-huh.
But you need to kind of help us understand where that came from.
Hey, a entity did a survey called www.tweakstown.com.
Tweakstown.com.
Yeah, tweakstown.com. They did a survey to find out which was the dumbest state in the union, and which was the stupidest state in the union, and which was the least educated state in the union. And so my neighbor, he looked on the smartphone for it, and other people did, and Mississippi popped up number 1. So, and then in Meridian, you got a D rating for the high school in Meridian. On the outside, in the county, you got A rating. Yeah, you go 10 miles, not even 10 miles, you go 5 miles, you got A rating. You come here, you got a D rating. And so I was just making a statement in a way where it would get people's attention. Say, well, we got the dumbest.
It got the, by the way, it worked.
Yeah, I figured it would. See, and so that's why I was doing that.
But then you came back and said the children in Mississippi are the dumbest, but then the county with the A rating, that's part of Mississippi students as well. So there's kind of a little.
I said the Meridian.
Yeah, you said Meridian.
Meridian.
But then later on, I think your second quote was the kids in Mississippi or the schools in Mississippi or something. You used the whole state after you said
Well,
that.
after I did that because that's what the survey said.
Okay.
The survey said that this was the dumbest state, and even though they make A's out there in the county, you take them over in Alabama, Georgia, somewhere, it might not be a A. It might be a C, B. Because the reason they did it in Meridian, because the kids couldn't pass the test, the rating test. So they say let's dumb it down, and then said now find out that the teachers don't go in there to teach. They get a script that they go in there and use this with the kids just to try to get them to pass the test. They're not learning the history. They're not learning the math and the reading and stuff like this. And they fail, but they pass them on through anyway. Because
I thought those days were over.
No.
Mercy.
They're still here. You know, one of my neighbors, next door neighbor, he goes out there. He said they pass them right on and got a lot of thugs out there that want to be thugs and things like this. And this is just the way it is.
I guess then the question would be then, as a candidate for mayor, you're saying you're putting this out there, and of course you certainly got a lot of attention. You had people that on the one hand said, oh, I can't believe he said something as ludicrous as that, and then you had other people that they told me, they said, well, you know, he's right.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
talking about the school system. So you had you got everybody's attention there. But then what is it that you can do, or what would you do as mayor should you be elected? What would you do to fix that?
We'll fix it like we fixed it in Michigan. We got the personal life adjustment therapy for youth. We're already ready to go. All I have to do is
that's part of this training.
It's part of the whole process. We got it. We can have it for elementary school kids. We can have it for junior high, and we can have it for high school kids. Once they get the sessions out of here, then they become confident. They become rational. They become little geniuses. And that's what I would do. I would train some teams, which we need jobs. That would give those teens a job to go to every school to give the kids this process here. And when they got that process, then they would turn out to be little geniuses, and the work that they in school would be a piece of cake for them then. And then these, not only them, the ones that's coming out of the dysfunctional families, alcoholic families, drug addicted families. With this process, they could still be successful even though their family is failing. See, and this is what's really important, is to get the kids motivated and get them say, hey, I don't care if y'all is drunks and drugs, I'm going to make it in this world.
Break that cycle.
And break that cycle.
Yeah.
See, and this is what will happen.
So this program that you're talking about, is this something you would introduce to the schools? Is this something that you would financially benefit from, or somebody that knows you would financially benefit from if this program?
The city would benefit from it.
But what I'm saying is, would the city have to pay? Would the school system have to pay for this? And then would that payment go to you or somebody that you are associated with?
It would go to the students who's doing the counseling
So
therapy.
So there's no charge for this program.
No, it won't be the charge because I'll be the mayor, see.
Yeah.
And I just get my salary. And just think, for instance, I'm going to fix the police station. I'm going to give them this process. Now, when anybody else get it, then they would be paying $100 per session per officer. And it take 20 4 sessions to
And this is all part of the same type of program you had in the prison department.
Sure. See, it can work on anything. All you have to do is just find out what you need. See.
It's the organism. Okay, gotcha.
You see what that says?
It says a comprehensive. It's a comprehensive systemic racism prevention and systemic racism recovery training, professional development process for police officers and sheriff deputies.
There you go.
Gotcha.
Now,
I'm with you.
the number one issue in the whole United States is systemic racism in the police. They're up there in Washington now trying to find out how to police reform. They're trying to find out what to do. This is the answer to that. You can't legislate systemic racism, but you can change the police officers. And that's what I'm going to do.
Do you think all white police officers are racist?
No, but you got enough in there to destroy the police station along with that. See, you got some good officers that try to be peace officers, and that's what you should be being. But see, I'm going to take 5 white females, 5 white males, 5 white black females, 5 black, put them through this process here for 24 sessions, and that's going to take that racism from the center of their being and push it to the circumference of their being. Out here, it don't affect you.
All right, my next question in this regard is, I notice there's a picture of a cross, so that it lends me to believe this is a faith-based type of program, a religious type of program.
No religion at all in there.
Okay.
That's the sign that Ron Cornwell came up with.
Okay. Gotcha.
No religious based at all.
Gotcha.
And so this is what. Just think about it. You got 12,000 police stations in America. When the first session, which we'll film that session and stream it to all of the police stations because they're gonna want it. They're gonna want it.
One of our listeners has a question for one candidate, but we're going to ask the same question to you, and that is, should you be elected, would you retain the current police chief?
I don't know. I would have to see. I would have to look. I would have to see if he's conducive to getting his officers trained in their systemic racism. I mean, why would you be with the whole nation in the kind of shape it's in? You know, white officers killing him, and then see one way you're gonna pay. Either you're gonna pay $27 million for one of your crazy officers out there killing a black person for no reason, and you're going to have to pay that money to them. Look at those families that got that money. 27 million, 12 million, 14 million here. Just because you got a bad apple in there. So I get in there, train these 20 officers. They'll be examples for all the other officers in there. See, and don't about it, these other candidates don't have that.
But I really have a problem with this, and maybe it's because you might say it's because I'm a white guy. But I really have a problem with us lumping all of these killings, where I should say these shootings that have ended in death of white police officers against black criminals, suggesting that all of these are a product of just white cops wanting to kill black people.
Well, that's pretty much what it is.
I don't think so. I disagree. I think these are people who somehow or other have felt like that they were, because of being black and feeling like they are part of this, feeling like they're part of some sort of oppression, they feel like they don't have to comply to police demands and requests, much like what Toby, I, or you would do if the police ask us to stop, put our hands up, get out of the car, this type of thing. And they're criminals on top of it. So, you know, I'm not lumping all of these. I think it's very unfair to lump all of these shootings into this one big bag of called systemic racism.
But let me give you an example.
When it's simply officers are trying to defend their lives request.
Okay, let me give you an example. The one where the guy was trying to get away in the car, and they shot him in the back of the head. So now, if you didn't want to kill the black man, all you had to do was shoot the tires out of the car. Where is he going to go when his tires shot out? If you shoot one tire, you can't hardly go anywhere. If they didn't want to kill him, all they had to do was say, hey, shoot the tires out. He can't go anywhere. He didn't have any weapons in there. So then you got him. He just got to sit there and wait till somebody come get him. But instead, they shot him in the back of the head, shot him in the arm a few times. That is just premeditated shooting of another black man. That's all that is.
While you bring up a questionable example, I don't think we can take all of these cases and lump them into a big systemic racist bundle.
Oh, yes, you can, because in every city and state, white people were born to be racist. That's what systemic racism is. Look at yourself. How many black friends did you have when you came up that came over your house, came to your special affairs and stuff like this? Probably none. So you grew up thinking white about black.
So determining whether I'm racist or not then depends on whether my willingness to associate with black people or have them to my house or that type of thing.
Exactly, because that
one way or the other proves whether I'm racist or not.
Exactly, that's exactly right. I got lots of white friends. They've invited me over their house and stuff like this, because all of my racism has been moved out of the way, and we talk rational with each other. You just take Western Lindemann, for example. Now, he's going on the corrupt thing. He's running on the corrupt. But he's done got wrapped up with Bill Arlenhouse, which is the most corrupt man in Meridian. And here he is, got him running his campaign, and this guy swindled people out in the cemetery, swindle, and the memorial place for the black. He swindled all these black people out of there, and then now he's running Western Lindemann's campaign. And Western Lindemann is smoking marijuana. And Western Lindemann got hooked up with a little chick that liked to wear blue hats and running with peel poppers. And nobody is even mentioning this stuff. I mean, I did a survey. I said, would you want your mayor out at Walmart? I said, would you want your mayor to be a pothead? And not a one of them said no, although they voted for the marijuana initiative, but they didn't want there to be a pothead at all. And then he's hooked up with a satanic person.
If you just joined us, we're visiting with candidate Robert Ray for mayor of City of Meridian. I'm Roger. Toby's here with us.
I am.
And we're just going to go ahead through Fox News because this is part of what we do. We interview the candidates. Let's take a phone call here and see, do you have a question for Mr. Ray? And if you do, please turn your radio down, please. Oh, okay, well. What's your response to the person saying that you would make us the laughingstock?
Hey, he's just irrational and don't know what's needed in Maria. What about a mayor that's got dementia and then had a stroke? Wouldn't that be, you elected a mayor, which I'm talking about Jimmy Smith. They've been telling me he got dementia and then had 2 strokes. What would be more laughing stock than you elect somebody with dementia? He wake up one morning, wouldn't even know who he is.
Well, the Democrats elected a president. I see. Maybe that's a whole different story.
But that's what I'm saying. You got 2 other candidates that's really got some baggage coming in.
Speaking of that, I was curious as to why you chose to run as a Republican in the mayoral race, and you ran as a Democrat in the gubernatorial race.
Hey, I found out that the Democrats have been victimizing the black people ever since we come out of slavery. The Republicans Party have been the one that have been supportive of the rights of the black. Frederick Douglass was a